The shearing shed, a scene of feverish activity, of endless movement, of scurrying feet and pendulum-like arms swinging in hypnotic rhythm. The down tubes hang behind the shearers, connecting each man to his machine like steel umbilical cords. At first glance, a casual observer might feel they had stumbled into some sort of weird melee, a chaotic struggle between men and animals. The sheep are wrestled from the catching pens and the wool torn from their bodies which are then thrown down the chute to make room for another body on the board. But let's take a closer, more careful look at the scene. As we follow the process completely from catching to release, a pattern of logical order appears. Each shearer moves with a deliberate rhythm to the pen, catches a sheep, positions it carefully, and begins to shear the wool from its body, all the while keeping a perfect position in relation to the swinging down tube. He controls and shears each sheep with a minimum of effort, all the while keeping up that beautiful rhythm as sheep after sheep rolls off the stand and down the chute. To achieve this standard of efficiency takes many years of practice, determination and concentration. It also follows that the shearer must have a solid foundation on which to build his career in the industry. This video has been produced to help the aspiring shearer by starting with the basics and proceeding towards the goal by building sound technique. Hello, I'm Stan Kingham, and I've been in the shearing and coaching industry for almost 50 years. During that time, I've learned a great deal about the shearing, the patterns, the positioning of sheep. And today I'm going to take you through a video in which we demonstrate the basics of positioning, stroke making and shearing. And by the time you're finished watching this video, I'll guarantee that it's easier than it was ever done before. Firstly, I would like to introduce to you the circle of position. The circle of position is obtained by taking a point where the long tube would normally hit the floor and placing that as the centre of your circle. With a piece of wire, measure the distance which equates to when a handpiece is hung on the end of the short tube and then turn downward at a right angle and mark that circle around your centre. This is what we call the easy circle. The easy circle is the area where the down tube will stay perfectly still while ever you use the handpiece in any direction. If we take another circle on the same centre with a longer diameter, about 9 inches further out, then we will have what we call the difficult circle. Once we get outside the difficult circle, it is almost impossible to reach the area of the sheep on which you want to work. This forms the basis of your shearing circle in relation to the down tube. We divide the circle into front and back halves. The start of the shearing operation is commenced in the forward half of the circle and slightly forward of centre and on the inside circle, the sheep's tail being placed on that spot. As we start to shear the sheep, we should be able to pick the handpiece directly up, place it on the brisket of the sheep without moving the down tube out of its perpendicular position. If we can start in this position, then it follows that we should be at the right distance from the vertical tube in every area in which we want to move. Having shorn the belly off the sheep, we start to turn the sheep in onto the inner circle so that the outside foot of the animal is roughly on the inside circle, turning it in towards the chute. This enables us to drag the short tube and the long tube around the sheep without having to drag it way out of position and around the animal, and thus having the animal between the down tube and the handpiece. As we move further around and get over the tail of the sheep, we move the sheep's feet back towards the chute so that the blows will come straight off the down tube and up the back of the animal without having once again to drag the down tube around the sheep. You'll notice I have a line scribed at about 45 degrees to the centre, and we call this the neck line. Now if we step out on this line as we go up the neck, the down tube will follow us in a straight to and fro movement without swinging around. And again, we won't have the down tube catching on the sheep or the shearer's body. This is most important. As we move the sheep from the neck position to the long blow, the sheep is placed parallel to the backboard and with its body on the circumference of the inner circle. The down tube at this stage will be opposite the flank of the sheep, and that will be seen as the centre line comes directly from the down tube to the flank of the sheep. This enables us to start our strokes forward and not swing back before we start. The moment we start to swing the long tube, then it will continue to swing and be difficult to control. As we come over the head of the sheep and down the other side, we will gradually be moving our sheep into the back part of the circle so that the down tube again is swinging clear of the sheep's body and also of the shearer's thigh. The one thing we don't want to do is get ourselves in a position where the down tube is hitting either our body or the body of the sheep. It's going to upset the rhythm of the whole operation, going to make it much more difficult to reach the end of the legs and the feet. Having finished the sheep, we should now be able to put it straight down the chute because its relationship to the chute should be directly in front. In this way, if we follow the circle right throughout the shearing operation, we'll finish in the perfect position for release. Now we're going to do a dry run showing you the positions of the sheep relative to the down tube using the circular position. When we arrive at the correct position, which is slightly forward of the centre line, we bring the sheep's right foreleg up in the air so that the back side of the sheep is coming off the floor on this side. Feet nicely in behind the sheep. I can't have my feet on the side or the sheep will fall through. Feet nicely behind. Pick up the right foreleg, let the sheep flop back and tuck the right foot back behind your right thigh. Now the sheep is in the position for the belly wool. If we pick the handpiece up from there, we should be able to bring the handpiece directly onto the brisket of the sheep without pushing or pulling the down tube. Because we're laying the sheep back in the reclining position for the belly, we have to sit her slightly forward of the centre line, roughly about where the neckline would enter the inside line if continued into the inner circle. Now we can shear the belly wool off the sheep, and as we come down to the crutch area, we start, after shearing the crutch, to turn the sheep in onto the inner circle in this position. This enables us to bring the handpiece and the down tube around the sheep and down onto the rump of the animal without dragging it around the animal. As we shear the back leg off and turn the sheep more, we find that the sheep's feet will be pointing towards the chute area, and this will enable us to bring the blows off the down tube over the tail in the undermined position without again dragging the handpiece around the animal. Having removed the top knot, we move forward into this position, or the neck position, where we are now following the neckline at about 45 degrees to the stand. This again enables us to bring the handpiece in a direct straight line up the neck of the animal without having a down tube swing in circles. As we continue to shear the neck and the front shoulder, we gradually work the sheep around so that it is now laying across the inside circle, parallel to the backboard. The centre line of the circular position will be coming to the sheep's flank, which will be positioned opposite the down tube. Now we can take those blows forward without swinging back to start, and again that helps us to control the swing of the down tube. As we work backwards and over to complete the long blow, the sheep will gradually be moving around towards the other half of the circle. We come down to the last shoulder, and as we start to shear the last shoulder of the sheep and complete the shearing, the sheep will move into the other half of the circle. By the time we've finished shearing the last leg, she'll be completely square, head opposite the chute. Down tube will be able to come around the sheep and the shearer without catching on the animal as we go. By the time we've finished, we'll be able to put her straight down the chute without any extra movement. Now I'm going to shear a sheep for you at slower than normal speed using the circle of position. I'll be pausing between changes of position so that you can see how all of this relates to the circle of position drawn on the floor. What I'm going to do now is mark out the sheep, following the blows exactly as we put them onto the handpiece. In doing this, I'm going to explain the relationship of the blows to the portion of the sheep which we are shearing. Firstly, we mark out the area of the belly wool. This is the part that has to be removed when we take the wool from the belly. The line runs from the corner of the bare area under the front leg to the flank of the rear leg on each side. Our first blow came down around the edge of the brisket, swung towards under the leg and then down in towards the area of the teats, as like that. We loom the sheep back over, the next blow comes down almost to the centre. By leaning the sheep over and facing it towards the chute, we finish the belly off. Now with a dry ewe we can get that in 3 blows. Now we start the clutch area. The right foot comes forward so that we can reach. We start off a bare area with the comb just inside the top of the leg. We always shear just inside or outside the leg, never directly on top. We come back around, we'll use the top line and the bottom line of the clutch area. And this blow must finish underneath the leg so that it's easy to get the wool off the back of the leg when you're coming down the other side. We turn the sheep in onto the inside circle. A small opening blow runs out to the toe, and now with the left foot well back we're facing along the board. Here is the blow that comes in and along the edge of the flank to open that back leg. To get the back leg in the high position for shearing, we will pull the skin and push and get the leg up tight. The first blow came down. The second blow also down to a point just above the backbone. Third blow finishes down at the tail area. We're making a straight line. Now by moving back a little and letting the sheep lay over, we get our first blow, bottom tooth on the backbone, parallel to the floor. Taking the right foot back again lifts the tail up, and we put a second blow underneath the backbone, again parallel to the floor. It's important that they run parallel to the floor. Top knot. Walking through to the neck position. Sheep sitting comfortably on its rump, toe under the back leg, left foot well around so that we've got control of the sheep. The first blow is to clear the fribby pieces off the brisket. The top tooth of the comb followed the centre line of the neck. The bottom tooth came up and cleared the face. Also, a short blow cleared the ear. Now the right foot goes back to throw the shoulder out, and our second blow comes deep off the shoulder and up, culminating in a blow or 2 blows behind the ears. Walking back again, you can see how we square the shoulder of the sheep, elbow in the face, bring a blow in, and finishing on the flat surface. Another one clears the leg and just comes off the bottom of that area. We lay the sheep down. Line coming to the flank of the sheep. Left toe under the shoulder. Left knee controlling the right leg. Sheep completely on its backbone, and we start the long blow. There's the first one. Without moving, we put 3 blows in, and you'll see they're connecting up to those blows that we've already put down off the shoulder. And this is the first one that comes along. We pull the shoulder in and connect it onto the neck. Now we move the foot back the width of a comb, about 3 inches. Let the sheep roll, bring the right foot over, and this is the first blow that comes right through and goes up the back of the neck, joining everything together. Now with the toe working right under the shoulder of the sheep, foot coming round, we find the backbone. There's a short, small blow for the backbone. And one more by toe right under the shoulder, weight on the head, right foot round the back. We get one more blow over the backbone, which has opened up the last side. Foot comes around so that we now have the classic shearer's position, pigeon-toed, knock-kneed. Hand on the nose, not on the ear, but on the nose, where we shear across the face. And now a small blow following down the centre of the line just to clear the neckline. Each of these blows now runs to the corner of the shoulder blade, and you can see them there. And this is the corner of the shoulder blade, and this must be where we change direction. And you can see where the first blow comes in, around and up into the corner, and using the left hand to tighten the skin as we clear that area. Leg comes out, we pull the leg and turn it in to get that elbow flat and put a second blow through. Letting the leg relax, we take off the wool off the top of the leg so that we don't have to shear into that dangerous corner. Shear the socks if any, down, finger slips through the leg, and we twist the leg and turn it in flat so that we can now run that one down and around the bare area. There's the first inside part. This one, the bottom tooth goes right into the flank of the sheep, and now this sets us up to follow those down and around to finish the sheep off. And you can see where those blows ran down and onto the leg. Again, down and following the line of the next one, walking back with both feet and also squaring up the sheep, ready to go up the chute. And there's the completion of the sheep. And so we have a pattern which we're going to follow as we shear the sheep each time over. We follow that pattern. By doing that pattern, repeating that pattern over and over, we're going to get a perfect job. Now let's try it at normal working speed. I know that this video will help you immensely in your shearing career. I know from my own personal experience how much this has helped me. And I know from many, many young men and women that I've taught using this method that shearing has become easier and easier, more comfortable, more profitable. And I hope that's the way it works out for you. So it's goodbye from Stan Kingham. And don't forget, if you see someone without a smile, give them one of yours.